All right, Coach, postseason basketball is officially here, and the Rail Splitters are moving on to the SAC semifinals after a 90-62 win over Anderson last night in the quarterfinals. Really, that game was kind of a sluggish start initially for the guys, but then a 27-4 run, and it's a 31-point game at halftime. What did you see from your team last night?
Well, I thought, we really guarded, I thought, the whole first half. I thought even early, we were generating pretty good shots. We weren't making them. We got some clean looks that didn't go down by good shooters, and try never to overreact to missing shots as long as they're good shots. And I thought we were getting good ones. I told the guys to just kind of keep plugging, keep guarding, keep rebounding, and shots would fall. And I don't know that we shot the three any better as the half wore on, but what we did do was we sustained our defensive effort. I thought we did a really good job after early on. I thought they were dominating the glass a little bit. I thought we really dug in, got some rebounds, got stops, got us out in transition, even though we were 4 for 18 from three in the first half, finished shooting, I think, 50% from the field in the first half. So got out in transition, got running, and that's always where we're at our best. We're able to, our defense and our rebounding fuels our offense. So was pleased with that. I thought second half we came out and first 4 possessions they got the rim, and we didn't do a very good job on the ball, and maybe relaxed a little bit with the score. And I thought then we kicked it back into gear, refocused, and got it up I think in the 40s, and then pulled those guys. And then the second group was obviously disappointing because I thought they had a pretty significant opportunity there to play with 11 or 12 minutes to go, and those guys are young guys that need to play, need experience, and need to perform when they get those opportunities. And last 11, 12 minutes, Anderson obviously controlled the game, outscored us. I think they went in, we're up 44 and wound up winning by 28. So they really controlled those last 11, 12 minutes, and that was disappointing. And from those guys, obviously credit to Anderson for continuing to play all the way through.
Well, now we go on and we get to play Wingate. Seems like we play them just about every year in the South Atlantic Conference tournament. They had to grind out a win last night against Coker in the SAC quarterfinals. So obviously we know that anything's up for grabs in the postseason. So what's going to be the challenge of now heading to the semifinals and playing on short rest and then going and facing the Bulldogs?
Well, Brian's teams, it's mark of a really good coach. They always play their best in February and March, and this team for him is no different. No shock to see them advance, and he's done it. Juggling a tremendous amount of injuries. You and I were talking, before we got on about all the stuff they've had to navigate this year, and Brian's teams are, they're always again, they're just extremely well coached. They get better as the year goes on, play their best basketball in February and March. Incredibly sound on both ends of the floor, always up near the top in defense. They don't play with unbelievable pace on the offensive end, but they're efficient. They run good stuff, get their best players good shots, and then they're always terrific defensively, great rebounding team. And this year's group, I don't have it off the top of my head, but they've been in an unbelievable amount of close games and really have managed to win most of them. So they're a team that really plays well under pressure, is able to execute under pressure, and has been in that position a ton. We've played in the postseason numerous times. They beat us a few years ago in the semifinals. In overtime, I think it was in 11-12 maybe, and then beat us in the conference championship game in 2013 at Furman. So they've handed us some tough losses in the postseason. He's as good as it gets in terms of Brian and his staff. They do a good job game planning. We've seen different things both games. I'm sure we'll see some different stuff here on Saturday. They'll have some unique things to throw at us, and we'll have to respond to those whatever challenges and whatever adjustments they make.
When we talked about this before, but postseason basketball is significantly different. The regular season, you've always said, is about growing and developing and getting better. Then postseason is just about surviving and advancing. So what is the message to the team this week, now heading into this weekend, and where you could potentially play game on Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, I think the postseason, the one difference is our blueprint, for how we need to play to be successful, to me, doesn't change. We the things that we emphasize and the areas we feel like we got to be good in, hopefully are things that travel. Our blueprint should be good enough, and roadmap should be good enough for what we do to be successful inside the postseason as well as the regular season, and that's part of the reason we emphasize those things. But you're right. We do change relative to a lot of times in the regular season. You play and you have a couple days in between, and you're trying to continue to grow with the ultimate goal of being the very best you can be at this time of year. At this time of year, it really comes down to preparing as well as you can, and then going out and trying to perform perform at the highest level possible and figure out, how to win the game in front of you. There's not as much preparation time normally, and there's not a whole lot of time to work on improvement or nuances because here soon, not right now for us, but soon, you lose and your season's over. There's no let's go back to the drawing board and figure out what we can do better. You got to find a way to win the game in front of you. So that's going to be the challenge for us here Thursday, Friday is prepare as well as we can. The good thing is we're seeing teams, we'll see Wingate for a third time if we're fortunate to advance, whether it's Carson Newman Queens a third time. We've played all those teams here in recent times. Obviously played Wingate on the 10th, I think, and obviously Carson Newman and Queens on the 21st, 24th. So it's all pretty recent games. That being said, there'll be adjustments made. Everybody will look at things and tweak things here and there. So, but at this time of the year, that's what it's about: is trying to play to your very best, play to your standards. There's a pressure to do it on a night in, night out basis. That's a good pressure. To play to your standards and the way you need to play to be successful. And so interested to see, getting down there. It's always a great trip to Greenville. We've been fortunate to go. I think whatever it's been, however many years it's been there, we've been able to make that trip. I think people assume it's just like a given, it's not you gotta earn it. And the other thing with these guys, and I think we have a group that really enjoys playing together. They enjoy competing, and that was my message last night. To them was, this means something to you, because you could look at it and say, well, regional or NCAA tournament or whatever, and if that's wrapped up or what have you, doesn't really matter. It's how many times do we have to get to compete and play together, and those times in the best case scenario are getting smaller and smaller. I mean, maximum, if everything went perfect, we'd have eight more games. And so, this group I do think loves playing. They love playing together. There's a lot of togetherness, a lot of unity. And I think the big thing is, we got to win to earn another chance to play together. And that's going to be the message going to Saturday, that we have to find a way, prepare as well as we can, go out and try to find a way to get a job done against a really good Wingate team, to give ourselves a chance to play Sunday and have a chance to compete for the championship. And really, most importantly, have another chance to, as a team, play together and fight and compete together.
Well, and then another big news that came out today is the all-SAC stuff, and it went about as well as we could have hoped for. The Rail Splitters rack up. Emmanuel Terry is the South Atlantic Conference Player of the Year and the inaugural Defensive Player of the Year. On top of that, you got Dorian Pinson and Trayvon Shaw on the first team, Cornelius Taylor on the second team, and you win your 5th straight SAC Coach of the Year honor. I know you don't want to talk about yourself, but talk about those 4 guys and what they did to earn those honors this year.
Well, very well deserved. I think winning is always rewarded, and when you go out and you perform at a consistently high level, and your team is successful, because always, to me, individual awards in a team sport are a reflection of the group's success, and you look at this team, they go through the regular season 27-1, they go 20-0 in this league, as good as the league was, particularly as top heavy as it was an incredible accomplishment, and those 4 guys performed at a remarkably high level on a night in, night out basis, and thrilled for Emmanuel. I think I don't have the ability to gauge every and look at every program in the country, but I can't imagine there's a better big man out there. He's a guy that he impacts winning in so many different ways. He's a phenomenal rim protector. He's a great rebounder. No shock for him to be the Defensive Player of the Year. He anchors us defensively. He's phenomenal in the pick and roll. Like I said, his shot blocking, his rebounding. And then offensively, he's really grown and improved. You look at his free throw shooting. You look at his field goal percentage. I think he's second in the country in field goal percentage. And underrated aspect for him is what a great screener and roller he is. His ability to screen and roll puts so much vertical pressure on the rim. It forces defenses to collapse and opens up a lot of things for a lot of other guys. He's just been tremendous. And the biggest thing with him to me is he's a great teammate. He cares and feels so responsible to the group. He's a guy that really takes it to heart. He's got unbelievable talent. But he supplements that with a terrific work ethic. He's gotten better and better year in, year out, and it's terrific to see him rewarded for that hard work. And like I said, he's a guy that really deeply feels responsibility to the group to perform on a night in, night out basis. Dorian, most impactful player relative to winning that I've coached here. I mean, and we've had some great ones. I'm not saying he's the best player we've had here, but there's nobody who impacts winning in more ways than Dorian Pinson, whether it's playing the 5, playing the 1, guarding everybody on the floor, being the he's the all-time leader in school history in defensive rebounds at 6'5". He's a guy that's a warrior. He's versatility. He's a terrific playmaker. He can score. He's versatile on both ends of the floor. And I think the best thing you say about any player, he's kind of the ultimate Swiss Army, knife guy. I mean, because he really, like I said, can do anything on a basketball court. But the best thing you say about a guy is he makes everybody around him better. And Dorian does that. He's the hub of what we do. Accolades will be spread around, but to me, he's the hub of what we do on both ends of the floor. And none of this works, without him. And he's just, and then you combine that from a basketball standpoint, and then with who he is, he kind of epitomizes what you want. What I would like in LMU and embody what an LMU player should be. I mean, unbelievably tough, phenomenal competitor, and a mental acuity for the game that is so far beyond the pale. He's a coach out there on the floor. Sometimes to his detriment because he's too smart for his own good, but his incisiveness, his instinctiveness, his awareness, again, it's just his mental acuity for the game is so far beyond the pale. It's been a true, with those two guys for 4 years, a true honor and privilege to coach them. Trayvon is elite at what he does. He is elite at what he does. He's, in my opinion, the best shooter in the country. He's made 124 threes at this point. Not only he's made 124, but he's shooting it at an unbelievably high efficiency rate. He does it in the scheme of what we do as a team. You put him on a different team where he's the guy because he's more than a shooter. He's a scorer. Trayvon is by far our best player. In isolation and late in the clock, we can go to things and isolate him, and he's a tremendous scorer. And on another team where maybe he's playing with less talented guys around him, he probably, instead of averaging 17, 18, is averaging 23, 24, 25 points a game. But he sacrifices for the group. He's a guy that spaces the floor. He allows, they all complement each other in different ways. But Trayvon, with his shooting, he spaces the floor. He can play without the ball in his hands. He's obviously tremendous with the ball, and is just a guy that with this group scores it at an unbelievably high level and with incredible efficiency. And you can't possibly undervalue that and what he brings to this team day in, day out. So I'm happy to see those three guys rewarded with first team All-League. Emmanuel obviously being Player of the Year, and you could split hairs with him and Dorian, and they're both equally as deserving. And then Scoot, because he's a sophomore and he's with those three guys, he may get overlooked in some capacity, but to me, he's probably improved the most of anybody on our team. You look at where he was last year, and he was a good player. He started 36 games on a Final Four team as a freshman, but to see where he is as a sophomore, his growth, he's become an absolute lockdown defender, and the type of character and mental disposition you got to have and competitiveness you got to have to go out and guard the team's best player for 40 minutes, and then be able to go down and perform offensively. The strength and stamina that takes is remarkable, and we had it with Lou for 4 years. And Scoot to me was an average defender last year, but he's really bought into it. He got in better shape. And his defense has been phenomenal, game in, game out. He takes on that assignment and does it at an incredibly high level. I'm always amazed to watch him, and I was watching Lou, for a guy to be able to have that kind of character and the kind of energy and stamina and strength to do that game in, game out is remarkable. And he's plays the game with phenomenal. He's grown in terms of his poise. He's a high energy guy. He's capable of really being an unbelievable shot maker. Look at the game with Queens. I didn't even realize till I went back and watched it from last Saturday. Some of the shots he made in that first half. I mean, the degree of difficulty was, a 12 on a 1 to 10 scale. I mean, contested. Queens guard him perfectly, and he just jumps up and made unbelievably difficult shots. And, he shoots the ball well. He gets in the lane. He's starting to make the right basketball plays. His growth as a player has been exponential over the last 6-7 months. So looking forward to having him around here the next few years. So all very well deserved. You could, again, it's a team sport, and the team has performed, and those guys certainly have performed at an incredibly high level on a consistent basis. They have a great responsibility. We talked about that in the preseason. Those guys got to be great, for us to have a really good year, and those guys, certainly performed above and beyond any type of reasonable expectation.